if I could eat meat tomorrow, I would have eaten it. But it's only as I've been on this journey, I'm starting to understand and thinking, actually, it's really cruel. You can normally run for the bus and just run for the bus and be a bit out of breath. But if I ran for the bus, I knew I needed to have my inhaler with me. So to notice really quickly after becoming vegan, that shift, that blew my mind. And I started researching because I was in shock that I was able to do things I'd never been able to do before. And I was so excited by the prospect that my life was now going to be able to change and I was going to be able to just live a freer life.
Hi there, and welcome to Plant CEO. In today's episode, I'd like to welcome Natasha Orumbie, the founder and director of the Vegan Patty Lady. Natasha was actually selling cakes for about 14 years before now creating Jamaican patties. Hey, Natasha, how are you doing?
Hi there, I am fine. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on this podcast.
Great to have you on the show. You're such a lovely person. You always have a great smile on your face. So it's always nice to see you. And I think we met initially, it was at the event organized by Mike and Joe Hill. It was VegNet earlier. I think it was this year, wasn't it?
It was this year, yes.
Yeah. So that's where I got to taste your product. And I guess the recent news now is that you're probably on a bit of a high because you've just won a Black Business show for their Launchpad competition. So yeah, that's congratulations on winning that.
Thank you so much. It was a huge surprise, I have to say, as in the competition was very stiff and I'm pretty new as a business. So to win ahead of some really established businesses that have done some amazing things, I was very much on a high end. The recordings tell the story of me jumping and screaming like a kid. So I was really excited and I think it's an amazing achievement.
Yeah, so we'll show that clip now.
To leave you in suspense, the Vegan Patty Lady. Congratulations, Natasha. Come up on stage.
Which other companies were involved in that?
There was a final 6 of us. Meji Foods was one. We had Sheer Chemistry, who sold skin coloured ties. We had Chapman's Drink. We had Keep Me Curvy. There's another couple, but they were all very incredibly established. Some of them had already done 6 figures, on schedule to do 7 figures, deals, in Stockton, Sainsbury's, 250 stores. I mean, they were high level businesses doing big things. And so I was like, me, this is my 7 locations. Like, it just was amazing. So really excited, pleased.
Yeah, so take me back now. Like, what inspired you to create the company in the first place?
Well, it was a journey of frustration. I became vegan 4 years ago now, probably 5 now, actually, because it was 2019 when I first became vegan. And I went vegan initially for a temporary fast. I'm a Christian. I was doing a 3 to 4 week fast for faith reasons, and I had no intention. I hated being vegan.
Was that for Lent that you
It
did that
wasn't
fast?
Lent, it was just, we call it a Daniel fast, and you can do it
Okay.
at any time. And it's basically
Yeah.
what Daniel did, where he just ate fruit and vegetables instead of the king's lovely, delicious meat. And I felt so deprived in that period. And I was not looking forward to the prospect of staying vegan. But I felt it was an instruction that I was encouraged to do. And so I stayed vegan reluctantly, but noticed massively a change in my health. Now, I've been asthmatic for as long as I can remember. I've always had inhalers. PE from a child was just always hampered by not being able to breathe. Every corner of my house had an inhaler. I have what we call a nebulizer at home because sometimes my inhalers are just not going to work and my lungs capacity can just be dramatically reduced really quickly. So I had my own nebulizer, which is what would normally happen if I was admitted to hospital. They'd put me on a nebulizer where they can actually pump that, what's it called again, to open up my airways. The name escapes me, but
It's the same as like volumizer thing, right? Where you can check the
absolutely.
pressure, I think, in your
Yes.
lungs. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's basically steroids. That's the word I was looking
right.
for. So it just quickly opens up your airways really fast. And so I had one at home. I've been in hospital several times. It was just a way of life for me to know that if I exerted myself, if I ran too fast, if I laughed too hard, I need to take my inhaler. So it was debilitating and I managed to live with it, but it was not a normal lifestyle. Like you can normally run for the bus and just run for the bus and be a bit out of breath. But if I ran for the bus, I knew I needed to have my inhaler with me. So to notice really quickly after becoming vegan, that shift, that blew my mind. And I started researching because I was in shock that I was able to do things I'd never been able to do before. And I was so excited by the prospect that my life was now going to be able to change and I was going to be able to just live a freer life. So that was the journey to becoming vegan. But the frustration of being vegan and not being able to eat tasty foods, like I could not stand the options that were available. They were tasteless, they lacked in nutritional value, so much processed foods and just really unhealthy. It just felt like a conflict in terms of you trying to be healthy on this vegan diet and you're eating all of this stuff that is not even real food. And it was very lacking in cultural, ethnic kind of trends. It was just very bland and I'm not used to eating like that. So I got frustrated and I created something for myself, which I shared on my WhatsApp status. And I was blown away because I don't know many vegan people, and non-vegans were all commenting that saw that food, which was very cultural. It was a Jamaican curry patty, and everybody saw patty and they were like, what? I want to have some of that. So that was what prompted me to kind of research, is there a market for this? And I realized the market was huge. So I thought, okay, I'll sell it. I sold it at really what I thought was an expensive price and people were still buying it. I thought, okay, this is something here. So I started selling it and that was literally the story began there and it's not stopped.
So when you were also doing your fast, you were suffering for some allergies as well. Did they also go away
Yeah, hay
as well as your
fever.
asthma?
Hay fever was
Okay.
what used to trigger my asthma. So that was where I already had asthma, and hay fever kind of developed in later years, to be fair. I didn't grow up knowing hay fever, but that I noticed as the pollen began to change. I noticed I was suddenly starting to get more significant asthmatic symptoms. So yeah, those two things were completely eradicated by my diet.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so tell me about the products, your patties and the different flavors and the ingredients that you're putting in and the nutritional value as well.
Yeah, so the real bugbear that I had about a lot of vegan food is that it was ultra processed, and 9 times out of 10, I would not know what it was. If you go out, you probably put it to the test yourself, go to a restaurant, and it will just say plant-based burger. What actually is inside my burger? I don't know. You go hot dog, that's a plant dog. Like I want to know what I'm eating, and so the difference between my food, which is literally just veg and nuts. They all contain walnuts and the different flavors will be different veg. So the mushroom is the beef flavor, and I say beef, but we have to say birth, BEOF. And salt fish is now salty-ish, and that is made with chickpeas and walnuts. And chicken is chicken, and that is made with green lentils and walnuts. So they're literally just pure veg and nuts, and that's what really shocks people. And they often ask me, how do I get it to taste like meat? And what I just say to them, which kind of blows their mind in a way, is it just changes their perspective. Meat is just flesh, effectively. Some flesh that is tougher than others, some flakier than others, but it's the seasoning that makes a difference. So all I'm doing really is seasoning up what they would normally use to season their meat, and hence the flavors that are kind of connected with that food is coming to mind. But all it is seasoning, so I can cook. I'm a good cook.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's definitely all about the seasoning because I guess even for meat eaters, I bet you they would have had some meat where they think, oh, that's not nice. It's because the way it was cooked or seasoned. Same
Absolutely.
applies to plant-based food. If
Simple.
you're cooking tofu and you haven't seasoned it right, is
Right.
or
Exactly that.
tempeh or something. Yeah. So you've got to go with the cultural flavors of the sort of dish that you're making. What is the seasoning traditionally in Jamaican food?
I mean, it depends on what you're cooking. So there's always salt. That is one thing that I think some cultures don't put enough salt on their food. So that makes a massive difference. Even if you only, I was saying to my friend actually, the two things that I cook with now, non-negotiable, salt and paprika. And paprika is just dried pepper, and I dried sweet pepper. And basically those two things are my basic ingredients in terms of seasoning. But depending on what you're doing, curry powder may be added. You might have some pimento is definitely a heightener. And we often use garlic and onions as a big seasoning ingredient as well. Depending on what you want to cook, there's a range of different seasonings that you could use. Is traditionally Jamaican other than salt and good pepper. Oh, we like a bit of pepper.
Yeah. And same here, obviously, with the Indian culture, we like our well-seasoned food and spicy
Yeah,
food. And I think with the curry powder, I think you were putting like things like turmeric in, and obviously in terms of nutritional benefit, you've got the green lentils, the chickpeas, all high
yeah.
in protein
All
as
high in
well.
protein. Yeah.
And a lot of people are using mushrooms to taste like meat, and you've got a variety of different types of mushrooms as well
So
that
many.
give so many different types of flavors. So
Yeah, I
I can
discovered one
see.
today that I'd never heard of, lobster mushroom, and
Oh
it's
right.
red and it's actually very fishy, even without using seaweed, which is what I use to create my
Oh
fish.
wow.
So I
Yeah,
am going to hunt that down because I saw that today and I was like, wow, I really want to experience that.
that's amazing. Yeah, and there's huge benefits of having that algae. Even the new stuff around sea moss is great for
Yes.
you with all the minerals, right?
Exactly that. And that's the thing. There's so many hidden benefits. A lot of people are concerned about vegans and are you going to get enough protein? I can promise you, in terms of the profile of what I eat in comparison to what some people eat, the amount of protein that I get from some meals because of the nuts and the pulses in there is probably more than what they got in their one portion of steak. So I would beg to differ that I'm going to be deficient in any minerals or vitamins. You just have to make sure you eat a varied diet, whatever your diet choice is. I think as long as you're varied, you can balance out and get enough protein. But yeah, I'm not lacking. I feel like I look good for a nearly 50-year-old woman. So
Yeah, you look great. Yeah, really good. Great skin. For sure.
it's
Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
working. It's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah, it's really working. The point there about nutrition and protein is something that vegans do hear a lot about. But I recently spoke with Dr. Michael Greger, and he was saying most vegans are actually over indexing and get way more protein than actually they need. So, yeah, I'm completely with you on that. As long as
Exactly.
obviously you're eating the right things, right? You're eating what I try and promote more so is the whole food plant-based diet, right? So we got to eat
Right.
more of that stuff. And it's okay to have, the products that are available now and again, but focus more on the whole food. And I think we are seeing a shift of especially product companies creating more clean label products like yourself, where you can actually know the ingredients on the list.
There you go. That is I mean, what I want to eventually move to is creating seasonings from scratch, because I find that some seasonings are not as whole as I would like them to be. So I'm on the journey to exploring which seasonings are giving me the flavors that I need per flavor, and I'll eventually move to just using just the raw seasoning so that I can just eliminate all the extra additions. I don't want that. But for now, we've got it. It is what it is. But I am going to definitely move towards that because I think the purer the food, the better.
Yeah. And I guess most of your food would be idle if it didn't have the salt.
Yeah, I think I tell they don't want any additional salt. And to be fair, there's a lot of tasty seasonings that kind of move or not leave out completely, but reduce the need for additional salt. So that's where the ITAR, in many cases, you can't really even taste that there's not salt in it. But for this particular, it definitely wouldn't be considered ITAR per se in the whole sense and the purest sense of the term.
Yeah, yeah. And have you experimented using different types of salt, like say Himalayan salt, for example?
And pink salt. I've not
and pink
experimented
salt.
yet.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly what I would be moving when I'm talking about the seasonings. I think that's the kind of things I'm going to be looking at, moving away from, the iodized salt and kind of
yeah.
the less pure salt. I think nature gives us just perfect ingredient, and we mess it up and chemicalize it. So I definitely want to see if I can move as far towards the cleaner and purer ingredients as I possibly can.
Yeah. And thinking of cleaner, you recently won a 5-star food hygiene award as well.
Yeah, it's not an award per se, but basically every local authority
Rating.
has
Yeah.
a standard where they come in and review your kitchen. I had actually been in a previous kitchen in January and had the 5-star food hygiene rating awarded there. But because we moved in June, we had to do it again, and it's a very, it's a rigorous process. You don't get 5 stars without any effort. So we were pleased to be awarded that, and customers can eat their food in peace, confidently, knowing that we're clean.
You're so good on the social media, and I like that you put in. We share a passion for music, so I know
Yes,
that. And you put in loonies with "I've got 5" on it on
yeah,
on the back of that Instagram, which was great. And I was just thinking, actually, because we're similar ages, I think you could
yeah.
have also put the band 5-star.
The fresh to clean, clean.
Yeah, or rain and shine.
Yes,
Remember that?
yes, yes. I love that. Yeah,
But then it doesn't have 5 in the
exactly.
in
Yeah.
the song, so maybe people won't get that. So yeah, very good. And you're now also in a number of local retailers, which is
Yeah.
amazing. So do you want to talk about the ones that you're with and what ones that you have your targets set on?
Yeah, I mean, currently my first, and I have to always give acknowledgement to this retailer, because I would not have been in the retail space had it not been for their willingness to give it a try. That's my local Nisa, that is my literal local corner shop, who kept seeing the journeys to the post office, which is inside the corner shop, and wondered what on earth I was sending out with such frequency, and
Oh,
after
right.
having a conversation and realizing it was vegan patties, he immediately pricked up and was like, our customers will love that. He said, get yourself a box and I'll put you on the shelves. And that was my very first retail, and that was the December of 2023, 5 months after we started. And then following that, we were launched into Costcutter in January. We're now in 2 Costcutters, one in Brockley, one in Bromley, and the Black Farmer in February. So it's a farm shop in Brixton, and we are also on the shelves there. And we've got some independent retailers that sell our patties hot. One is a delivery place in Deptford, the Royal Standard. So people order as part of the Caribbean takeaway offering in the Royal Standard. So I order patties there. We have a kind of a cafe sort of style in Deptford and Petty Village, where they also can get the patties hot. And we have a coffee shop in Reading, all the way in Reading, that also sells the patties hot. So we're spreading out, and we would definitely love to get on the shelves of retailers where we believe our ideal client are the health conscious, looking prepared to pay for a product that is handmade but also very pure, and that's a valued characteristic that is not readily available. So it's an artisan product, and we believe that there's more demand for that kind of product in the profile of customers that may be shopping Marks and Spencer's, Waitrose, Ocado. So those are the shops that I think would be really excited about getting this on their shelves.
Yeah, and have you engaged in conversations with any of those other retailers?
Well, there are several conversations happening behind the scene, but I could not possibly tell you all about those. So you'll have to wait and see and watch this space to see what is on the horizon. But I'm very excited about the conversations that are happening in the background, shall we say.
But I hope to see you growing more locations for sure. Tell me about your funding so far. I know you've won some other competitions as well, and you've currently got a GoFundMe page as well.
Yeah, we started the GoFundMe initially when we knew we needed to leave the kitchen that we were at, which I talked about earlier, and get into the fully independent kitchen that wasn't a shared space. So we were in what we call a dark kitchen where other people could also hire that space. But one of the prerequisites for going into retail is that you have a place that is completely separate so that only you use it, especially because of the nature of the product being vegan and being able to have that cross-contamination eliminated and having very clear practices and processes that are followed in our space that we are fully monitoring, and that was not possible in a non-shared space. And also we couldn't scale production in terms of the flexibility and access to the space. So that was our initial start of raising a GoFundMe. We raised about 4,500, which is only 10% of what we initially wanted, because we knew that as well as getting the kitchen space, it's quite a considerable rent demand, and we've got a very clear business plan. So we knew that it's going to take some months of establishing the brand in order to get some contracts that will give us the more considerable income. So as part of the business plan, what we knew is that we're going to need some cushion to get us into the space, give us the rent while we're building, while we're acquiring contracts. So that was why the ask was 40k. We did win, as you mentioned, a competition that gave us 20 of that 40. So we had 20 plus the 4.5, so we had 24.5. So we're shy of 16k, which we're still, you know, crawling across the finishing line to try and get that to keep us afloat whilst we secure some contracts. But as I said, there are some really exciting conversations happening, but we desperately do need to stay afloat. So the GoFundMe is still open. We don't promote it as much because there's just been so much going on. But the people that are happy to donate, I'm sure the link will be somewhere on the video. We would very much appreciate your contributions. Every little helps. I keep saying, if 1,000 people gave me £10, like, you know, that's a lot of money. So it's not, we're not asking people to give their life savings. Just a little will really go a long way to helping us to fulfill our dream and to get vegan patties out there where people need them and want them.
Yeah, so we'll definitely put the link up on the video and in the description. So yeah, we want to try and make sure you get there. The other thing that I found interesting that is you've also got a master's in education. One thing that I think the plant-based industry needs to do more of is actually educating people, especially the younger generation, on the benefits of eating a plant-based diet. And I would also say, to some degree, teaching them about animal rights.
I think education is, you know, that it gets a lot of bad cred because I know that some people are of the view that there is an agenda with education that to just keep people as conformists, and it doesn't, you know, allow for freedom of expression, etc. But I do believe children are more open at that tender age to understanding the differences and why foods are important. And I've seen some really touching videos, especially when you talk about animal rights, where young children have just expressed, but I don't want to kill that animal so I can eat it. Like, surely there are other things that we can eat. And it's just so funny trying to watch an adult explain why it's okay to hurt another sentient being, and the child is like, I don't want to do this.
But I don't want to eat them ever again.
Oh, do you think so? What will you eat instead?
I will eat whatever there's on the table, but not chicken or meat.
Why do you think you don't want to do that?
Because they're animals and I like animals.
So what will we do if we miss eating chicken and meat?
I don't miss eating chicken and meat.
How about fish?
Fish?
Yeah.
Fish? Is it an animal?
Yeah.
I won't eat that either.
Oh my God. So what?
I won't eat animals.
Okay. So what do you want to eat? What kind of food do you want to eat?
Anything's on the table, but not animals.
Why do you feel sorry for animals?
Because they're nice and And I know that we cook them sometimes, which is not very nice. And I know we like to eat animals that we cook, but that's not nice for them.
Yeah, do you think they suffer?
I think that they don't really like being cooked in the oven.
I think it's a really great age to start teaching children about empathy, and that just would make so much difference in so many ways. Just being relational and understanding that life is life, and that they can really survive, but not just survive, but have all the health benefits from eating a plant-based diet that people are arguing is only achievable with an animal-based diet, and it's just not true. And I think we should really spend time teaching children the nutritional components of their food so they can understand and make choices and know that not treating animals kindly, fairly. And I have to say, if I'm really honest, I did not start my vegan diet on that journey at all. I'm going to be really honest. I still was like, yeah, if I could eat meat tomorrow, I would have eaten it. But it's only as I've been on this journey, I'm starting to understand and thinking, actually, it's really cruel. And
Yeah.
it was not where I started, but yeah. So I really think it's important to teach children about empathy. There's so many other issues that are childhood problems. I'm still in education, even though I don't teach anymore, but I oversee safeguarding in education. And one of the massive things that are missing is empathy, and teaching children empathy, even teaching adults to be empathetic of children. And I feel like if we do that, we would have so many less issues. And one of the things that we can teach them about is valuing life and understanding that animals are sentient beings that have feelings. I mean, when you've watched videos of dogs and other life forms, and you just think, wow, these have feelings and emotions, and it's just awful. I don't know how many of you guys have watched the video that shows how the young calves are taken away from their mothers, just so that the milk is taken for us, and you just see the pain. It's awful. So yeah, I think we should show children that and teach them, and I think they'll make different choices. I think they will be much more sensitive and feeling than adults. So teach them young and teach them that there is a better way, and that there is food that you can eat that still tastes good. I don't miss my oxtail or curry-goat or anything because I've made them all veganized. I don't, every bit of the texture I can replicate. So, all those things that I did love that probably people would fear that they would miss, you could have those experiences with plants. So there you go.
You also mentioned earlier that you're a Christian, and I wanted to ask you if you've seen Christspiracy yet.
I
Have you heard
haven't.
have you heard about the film?
No.
So it comes from the makers of What the Health, a guy called Kip Anderson. He also created a documentary called Cowspiracy. I think they're both available on Netflix. Even though he wasn't the director, he is still part of the film, which is Seaspiracy. So all these films are talking about the impact of whether it's your health, climate change, and obviously the ocean, what's happening in the environment. So they went on this journey to uncover what all the major religions say about eating animals. And it started off by a debate where they asked the question, is there an ethical way to kill an animal? Or specifically, how would Jesus kill an animal? They couldn't answer that. So the two directors went on this journey and they went to multiple places. It's a great documentary.
Is there a spiritual way to kill an animal?
That I have no idea.
Interesting question.
Is there a right way to...
Some people would think the name means that it's anti-Christian, but it's not at all. It should even restore, I think, your faith in Jesus as a. So it's such a powerful film.
Oh, I really want to watch.
Yeah, and I won't give so much away because you kind of need to watch it.
I was gonna
But
Say,
actually,
don't spoil it now.
I don't want to
Spoiler
spoil it,
alert.
but it's definitely worth you watching it. And they're doing a new thing where they're going to be launching it online. So they want this film to reach, over 1 billion people. So what you can basically do is like pay it forward to somebody. You can gift it to somebody else as well to watch. Um,
Amazing. Oh,
so
look
yeah,
out for that.
it's
Sounds
definitely a great
exciting.
documentary to watch. So yeah, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been really successful, and congrats on winning the UK Black Business Award as well, which was brilliant. And I hope you get to your target, the remaining 16K on your GoFundMe page. And I hope to see your product in more places.
Thank you so much for having me again. I've aspired to be on this podcast, secretly fangirl over here. So I'm excited that I'm actually going to be featured.
Yeah, I'm glad you've come on the show. And yeah, I think it was a good time to get you on, especially after winning
Yeah,
as well. I said I was going to get you on,
you
and I
did
didn't make it
say,
happen.
and this is perfect timing. So thank you.
Yeah, great to see you again.
And you.
All right, all the best. Bye.